What if cat meant dog?
It doesn't.
But what if it did?
Then we'd be as backwards as we feel right now.
And welcome back to Dad, Did We Just Break America and Every City in It?
I'm Skylar, your resident Gen Z doom scroller.
And I'm Corey, your cynical Gen Xer. So, Sky.
Yeah. How was your day?
My day was very interesting. I had an appointment to get to this afternoon, and I couldn't get there because there was a pro-Palestine demonstration that seemed to block
Like 57 blocks.
something like that. I didn't know there were that many people supporting Palestine who had no job at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then it took me probably an extra 30 to 35 minutes to get to where I needed to go, which was kind of crazy. Now, there haven't been that many protests in a while. So what sparked today's protest?
Okay, so number one, I agree because I feel like I'm usually in the know about these protests and like telling everybody to be vigilant. I had no idea I was calling you when I went to go to the subway to go to class because I thought that maybe like, because there was nobody there, but there were tons of barricades and a lot of police officers and a lot of police cars. I thought like maybe somebody important was in town, quite honestly.
Well, you did just have the Met Gala.
No, but I honestly,
So there are a lot of important people.
I thought you must have walked the dog recently. So I was calling you to be like, did I miss something? And then I went to walk across the street and I realized that that entire street was blocked off. But again, there was nobody, like, there was no commotion. There was nothing going on. So I didn't really think anything of it.
Well, that's your wonderful generation. There's a bunch of barricades. There are lots of police around. There's nothing happening.
No.
Nothing to see here.
Walked to the nearest officer and I asked what was going on.
Right, because you're a doom scroller and a bunch of cops lying around means, hey, why don't I find out what's going on?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they told me that they were preparing for a protest later in the evening.
The evening.
So I thought, okay.
Why in the evening?
Because they just like to like make it hard for everybody to come and go. I don't know. Across the street, there were a bunch of other cops, and they explained to me what the protest was. They're protesting a pro-Palestinian protest outside a nearby synagogue.
So they were outside a synagogue.
I'll get to that. They created some new rules and regulations, which is why there were so many streets closed surrounding.
So who created rules and regulations? The city?
Yeah.
About whether...
The city council, about houses of worship.
Okay, so what are the new rules? Do you know the rules?
There's like a buffer zone, so it hasn't been enacted yet, but it passed the city council with enough. I don't really understand how the voting and like how the veto power works, but I know that our fabulous mayor vetoed. There was a separate bill that he vetoed, which is about like a buffer zone in front of like schools, because a lot of these synagogues have preschools, and he vetoed that one, but he didn't veto the houses of worship one. So I believe that's why there was so much more of a police presence and like barricades a little bit out, like a couple blocks out, because I think they're acting with that buffer zone in mind, even though it hasn't been enacted yet.
Okay, so there's supposed to be a buffer zone.
You're not supposed to be able to get right in front of the synagogue.
Why is that?
Because it's dangerous.
Well, it's houses of worship.
No, right. Any house of worship. But in this case, they didn't want them to be able to get right up to the synagogue. This is where the same protest was, which I think we talked about or referenced on the pod. Last protest was also at this synagogue about a similar event.
There has not been a lot of protests in the city about a Palestinian thing.
No, okay, so
in a while.
Yeah, they were hosting an event at the synagogue. Again, just like the last time this happened, with a different organization that teaches people that want to come, Jewish congregants or other people in the area that are thinking about relocating to Israel. This is an organization that helps and educates people to find the best like English speaking areas, educates them on taxes and finances and all the different
What you
things.
have to do to move if you want to move.
Yeah, if you're leaving the country. It's a large undertaking, I'd imagine. there's that. That's what this event was about. And so they're saying that they're selling illegal land, and they're talking specifically about some land in the West Bank.
Which is where?
Near Jerusalem. But they say that we're illegally settled there.
So let me get this straight, just so I can understand it.
Yeah.
There's a protest in New York about an organization at a temple holding an event for people who are coming to the event who may or may not want to relocate to these areas or to Israel. And then these areas are places where one could
get X for your money or whatever.
Or one could move to, settle in, whatever.
Make it easier for these people. That's what these organizations are really there for. And to help them go through the entire process if they decide that they want to go through with it.
So that's why the pro-Palestinians were protesting.
They were protesting a real estate expo, they say, about selling illegal land because it doesn't belong to us is like their main point, which is why those signs said Palestine is not for sale. Palestine's not a place.
Okay. Which would defeat the whole entire history of Palestine.
Yeah, one more thing.
As they know it, because that land has been turned over multiple times to multiple different groups of people, countries, sects, whatever. So obviously the land was, hate to burst your bubble, but the land was sold at some point in time. So historically, and I think we've talked about this, that land has changed hands for one reason or another, for the purposes of settling it. Nobody just takes land or acquires land for the sheer purpose of just taking it, unless you're at Rome. Way back, they just took land for the sake of it. But again, first of all, I saw some of those signs because you had showed me some pictures.
Yeah.
That, Israel doesn't exist. Well, I'm more than happy to have people who hate the flag and who hate the United States, but who are still here. By the way, the door swings both ways.
Yeah, it's a little silly, but do your thing.
Right. So if you don't like it, you don't got to be here. So
for sure.
For sure, for sure. No. For sure.
For sure, for sure, for sure.
For real, for sure. So here's what doesn't make any sense. We all know how Israel came to be.
And the fact that it exists isn't negotiable. It exists.
Right. That's like saying this conversation doesn't exist. But
it's happening.
We know that it exists. We're speaking and people are listening.
Yeah.
It happened and it's recorded so we can go back to it and see that it happened. The same way in which the documents that were passed by the United Nations that gave Israel the right to exist, we could all go look at and read.
Yeah.
Thousands of people that were sitting in a city street screaming this.
But that's not only them. Even in K through 12 schools in recent years, we've seen that people, teachers or even school districts have gotten in trouble for having maps of the Middle East without Israel.
Well, it would be incorrect. It would be it would be a material omission.
Right.
Because that is a country that's on the map. The same way as Iran is on the map and Madagascar. Why?
No, it's weird. It's
the same way as Australia is on the map. Would you have a map with the landmass that is Australia without Australia's name on it?
No.
That would be bizarre. How would anybody learn what that is? There's a big rock there. What is it?
Or they just don't include the body of land.
Okay, and I understand this is near and dear to our heart.
No, I'm sorry. Even if it isn't, you don't have to agree with our beliefs, but we should all be able to talk about the truth of the matter.
Okay, now, we don't run around saying that Muslims have no right to believe in their religion.
No, of course not.
And we never would.
No, that's bigoted.
We certainly haven't gone over to St. Peter's, right?
No.
And then walked in and told the head of the New York Archdiocese.
The cardinal? Is that the cardinal?
The cardinal himself, the right reverend. So I certainly haven't walked in there and told the cardinal, listen, you have no right to believe in what you believe in.
No, because
first of all, it's none of anybody's business. That's why freedom of religion is a freedom here in the United States.
No, right. Also, it just doesn't concern me. I don't feel compelled to do such a thing. It's none of my business what helps you exist as a person and what you believe in. I don't care.
obviously the right for Israel to exist. Israel exists. There's nothing you could do about it. It is what it is. The same way as we may not think, or I may not think, that certain other countries and areas should exist, but that doesn't mean they don't exist.
Yeah, I mean, I totally have never felt that way about a country. I think that's like bizarre and just like a weird fight to choose, because like, where are you getting with that in your lifetime? This country exists.
So they're protesting. They want everybody to believe their rhetoric. I get it.
But like, was there a time, I don't know, because I feel like I can't remember anything past like the past 2 years about this conversation anymore. Like, did you grow up in a world where facts were facts? Like, you could have an opinion, but like the fact that this place exists and that that's not illegal is a fact.
Yes, we grew up in a much different world where facts were facts, where what you believed in wasn't questioned. And, you know, we grew up in a different world, though. First of all, the news was the news. There was no such thing as cable news network from Mr. Ted Turner, CNN. There were 3 channels, CBS, NBC, and ABC, 2, 4, and 7. Then came Channel 5, Fox. That's how Fox started here.
Yeah.
Not the whole company, but that's
No,
how it
well,
started broadcasting.
Yeah.
And then there was WPIX in New York, 11, which is Channel 11. And their building and studios are down on 42nd Street in Manhattan.
I feel like I don't know what channel anything is on anymore. Have you
Well,
thought
because
about that?
because it's not the same thing. So when you watch the news, you know, Walter Cronkite, Dan Rather, Peter Jennings, Ted Koppel, and I remember those names, as you see, off the top of my head.
Yeah, they're like a part of your childhood.
Because to be an anchor newsman, and sorry, ladies, but that's what it was in the evening news. There were some women, and women did become much bigger and better in news. But if it was on the news, most of it was, again, yes. Could we look back on it and say that it was the point of view of the producers of the news show? Probably.
Well, we all have inherent bias, whether we realize it or not. We view things.
I'm not biased.
No. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, like, to a certain extent, we view things through the lens of the way we view the world.
Through my mind's eye.
Right. We could read something and view it completely differently.
The bystander rule.
Yes. So that's inherent everywhere all the time, but...
Correct. But I don't think news was like it is today, where I can go on the internet at any time of day and I could see almost stuff when I was a kid. Okay, so nobody delivered food. You didn't go to little stores.
There wasn't a pizza delivery guy?
No, there was a pizza delivery guy, but it was different.
I'm not like suggesting there was Uber
There was no
Eats.
Uber Eats. There was no...
I'm not like... there was no Uber Eats when I was born either.
There was no DoorDash.
Yeah.
So if you wanted pizza, you didn't go on the internet, you didn't go on an app, you called the pizza place.
Did you have the internet?
Is that like a real question?
How old were you when you had the internet? Like Google.
I don't know the exact answer to the date time. It was
Really?
during the Clinton presidency, 83, by the ARPANET protocol, which became the TCP IP protocols or standard.
Was it somebody's idea? Like, we're going to do this thing?
So it was a bunch of people's idea. It was a bunch of people's idea. And you can't credit Clinton and Gore for helping push the internet.
Thank you, Mr. Clinton. I didn't know I owed you so much.
So in 89 to 90, you had the first commercial internet service providers, or ISPs.
It's not my fault that I'm chronically online. It's Bill Clinton's.
Exactly. And then in the 90s, 91, 92, I think,
Okay.
is when the World Wide Web starts, www. dot whatever.
So you couldn't Google anything before or search anything before?
There was no such thing as www until like 91, 92.
But what does that mean? Like, what made it different? I don't understand.
Well, the internet
Like,
is...
everybody had a www website?
No, there weren't websites then.
So what do? You looked something up and like all these things were just
It just
floating
had,
around on the
the
screen?
internet was started with basic information. It built on itself over time.
So you could look up, like, where is this?
That's why Yahoo, Google,
No, I understand.
other different search engines are the way they are, and why the people who started Google and Yahoo and a couple of other things are multi-billionaires in today's world, was because look what they invented.
They're geniuses.
Well, look what they invented.
No, I mean, where would we be? Where would I be if it weren't for them?
Right. So I'm saying, again, before we got in the conversation, as how did the internet start? But, you know, you had the news, and then a lot of the news was on TV. There was no news on your phone. A phone was just for phone.
No, I know that.
And then you had the BlackBerry.
Mm-hmm. I had a flip phone.
Okay. And then you had TV, newspaper, and magazines. People actually bought newspapers. I used to get the Wall Street Journal delivered.
Yes.
Where in today's day and age, nobody really reads a paper. Some older people do because they're used to reading papers and they like it. But so now, fast forward. So I was saying that I can go on the internet, which is where we got sidetracked, and
Google one topic or like.
But I don't even have to Google anything. I could just go on a search engine and I could see two conflicting news reports on the same homepage.
Yeah, it's confusing.
From two different sources.
Well, it reminds me of our conversation on the pod that we had with Chavez, and I think about this often. He said, we can't argue facts. We can argue opinions. We can debate opinions. We can't argue facts. All we're doing is arguing facts.
Well, here's the problem. The problem becomes we have mainstreamed deviation of what one would consider the facts.
Yeah, everybody has their own truth. We've all made up our own minds. We live in a different reality.
Right. Alternative facts.
Like, that's what's so interesting about
But I think that's been going on in the world for a very long time.
Yes, I think this issue, though, is like a microcosm. It's like the symptom of it. But I think it's a very glaring example.
Because there are times, see, like in medicine, you know, you either have this ailment or you don't.
Yeah.
You're alive or you're dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're sedated or you're not. You had the surgery, you're in recovery, you're going to wake up in an hour, okay? They either fixed the problem or they didn't.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any halfway there. Yes, things don't work, procedures don't work, all that kind of happy stuff.
Maybe you don't kind of have some ailment.
Well,
half of an ailment.
But the facts aren't misinterpreted.
No.
You have diabetes or you don't.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
You have a peptic ulcer or you don't. You have cancer or you don't.
It's a peptic ulcer.
A different kind of ulcer in your stomach.
Jesus.
Okay. But that's a pod for another time. So.
It's the wrong pod.
Wrong pod. So we're in the wrong pod. I'm sorry. Were you looking for the other pod?
Not mine.
This is not my pod. So.
Turns out you don't need one.
Everybody needs a pod. Podcasts are very popular.
Yeah, everybody thinks they have something to say, just like me.
Right. I mean, wouldn't you know it? We think we have something to say too.
Yeah, and I'm so sorry.
I mean, who the hell are we?
I don't know.
So what I'm saying is, in today's day and age, like if I go back to the medical example, like you either require emergency medical attention or you don't, right?
Yeah, there's no in between.
There are gray areas. Well, it could be this and it could be that. And you came to the doctor or the hospital.
Right, but once you go to the hospital and they determine that there's no like.
Well, there could be, but I'm saying you either have an ailment or you don't. Israel has no right to exist, or it does. Those aren't indeterminable facts. It's really your opinion that it has no right to exist. It's not a fact.
Yeah, but we're true.
You would like it to not exist.
Yeah.
The same way as I would like to have a 28-inch waist. But chances are
some things aren't going to happen in this lifetime.
I'm not going to.
Or any other.
Right. So those are not really facts. first of all, they're fiction. Second of all,
It's important that you know the difference.
well, but that's your point,
Yeah,
right?
nobody knows the difference. I feel like I'm living in an alternate reality and like I'm like looking through the looking glass. Like everybody's crazy.
Well, and part of that reason, and I'll come back to it.
That was a cute analogy.
No, it's a very good one. What call out, is the World Wide Web, the internet, social media. Because everybody believes what they see on social media, but most of it is not reality. It's not true.
Yeah, and your algorithm continues to feed what you currently see,
So I can
which
go
just reinforces what you believe.
because you and I know I can go take a picture of myself in front of a dumpster. I could change the lighting. I could change where I am. I could put another picture behind me. Everybody
You could be in Armenia.
go on Snapchat as an example, and it could place you in multiple different places. And I've
Isn't
done
that
that.
neat?
I've actually done that to people when there's been like a fun thing on Snapchat.
Yeah.
I will take a picture of myself and somebody will say to me, wait a minute, when did you go here? Are you there now? No, I'm sitting in my house. What are you talking about? Well, it's look in the picture. And that's how naive it's become.
It's like this morning when I texted you something and you said, "Where are you? Are you there now?" And I said, "I'm in my bed."
Well, because you said something that made it sound like
Like I was out and
you,
about.
because,
It was like 8:30.
and that's, no, but that's your whole generation.
Yeah, I know.
Your whole generation has something that a good friend of mine once called no segue. Your generation and the millennials, no segue whatsoever. You're used to texting, FaceTiming, video calling, whatever you want to call whatever phone you're on, right? You're just used to, we have to talk about it, we have to talk about it right now. You're the biggest pronosticator of it. You just FaceTime at the drop of a fingernail.
Of an inconvenience. And then I'm like the boy that cried wolf. It occurred to me today when you weren't picking up. And I was like, I could actually be in danger maybe. And he's not answering because he doesn't think it's serious, probably because all I
because
do
you
is
call
FaceTime.
it, yeah, hi.
No, I'm agreeing with you. I'm annoying.
I was just telling so-and-so about the time when my hair fell and you tripped and you went sliding down the floor and you fell on the dog. Wasn't that fun? And I'm sitting there when you make this phone call going, why are we talking about this now? You're with other people. I'm with other people, or I'm working, or I'm doing whatever. Can't we talk about this at another time when we're all together? And
Sometimes, though, in my defense, I have a question about something that I want your expert advice on.
No, I get that.
opinion.
That's like, listen, I just have a question. But see, now in our day, we didn't have this capability.
Right.
There was no video calling. There was no cell phone.
No, I abuse the FaceTime.
There was no cell phone. So if you wanted to ask your parents a question or you wanted to ask somebody a question, you had to wait till you saw them
Or send a note.
or whatever. There's no email either.
Carrier pigeon.
Right. Or if you were in Harry Potter.
Is that a real thing? Carrier pigeon?
Are you actually asking me if carrier pigeon was a real thing?
You gave a pigeon your note?
You put in, the pigeon doesn't know you gave it a note. Did you actually ask me that? Oh my God. The pigeon would have something attached to its leg.
Oh, you'd like tie it
and you'd roll up the note into the thing on the leg and the pigeon would just fly over there.
But how did it know where it was supposed to go?
Well, some birds could be trained.
You could only give the notes to the trained pigeons. Were they only pigeons?
No, there are multiple different kinds of birds that would carry messages.
I want one.
But go to Harry Potter, they had owls.
No, I know, but I want one because I'll just keep it in my bedroom. And if I have something to tell you, I'll fly it over.
Great. So sometime at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to hear, "Rah! Rah! Skylar's got a question.
You said you didn't want me to FaceTime, so I got a bird.
Is ice cream fattening? So, I don't know, Skylar, what do you think? So, and eventually you all have to live on your own. That's the scary part.
Well, if my pigeon was trained, it will fly right to your home. Ask you a question and come right back like a good little pigeon. How much is a carrier pigeon? Expensive?
I don't know. Why don't you Google where to buy a carrier pigeon?
Okay. Anyways, I'm listening. Sorry, I'm just intrigued. I thought that was like a folk tale.
No. I'm not saying that it always worked or everybody had carrier pigeon.
Like, only the wealthy
it's-
people had carrier pigeons? Like, I don't understand.
No. I mean, it's somewhat of a wives' tale, as my grandmother, may she rest in peace, used to say, a Bubba Meinzer. But
You just told me it was real.
no, but I'm saying not everybody had it. It wasn't like
Few and far
you went
between.
to a store and you bought a carrier pigeon. Okay? Carrier pigeons were
To go to the special breeder.
oh my, not in my lifetime was it a mainstream thing. It was years and years ago.
Specialized breeders. Prices generally range from $100 to over $400 for pedigree birds, depending on their racing lineage.
Yeah, so back in the day,
They're racing birds.
but back in the day, they were used for military and other uses.
So people weren't just sending notes with them. It was for important messages.
Correct.
Official messages.
But now you have FedEx.
No, but the pigeon's so much more fun, I feel like.
So, again, I don't know how we got here, but
Me
again,
neither. But I feel like we all learned something useful today.
the illusion has become reality.
Yeah.
And the problem is that there are lots of people out there who don't know that it's all an illusion.
I don't say that Palestine's not a place to be rude. I say Palestine's not a place because it's not. Like, Gaza's a place.
Right. In the same way in which somebody says that Israel has no right to exist, that would be like saying, you know, where does the United States get the right to exist?
Right.
I don't have a problem with people's right to protest. I don't have a problem. They hate Israel. That's their prerogative.
You know, it's none of my business.
They hate the United States. What are they doing here? Okay.
What other people think about me is none of my business.
I'm not even quite sure what that even means. But
Your opinion of me is none of my business.
But again, moving forward, right? Saying things that are just completely and totally irrational, stupid, and that don't exist. And I think a lot of that goes on social media.
Yeah.
And the reason why you have generations of people who believe things, if it's on TikTok, it must be true.
Yeah.
But it's not always true. As a matter of fact, it's probably half right, maybe.
Or somebody's opinion.
Well, that's what it is. But somebody's passing off that opinion as fact. The same way those protesters today were passing off an opinion as a fact.
Sure, like, say, like,
But
I
here's the
don't-
problem. No, I'm not. Hold on.
Sorry.
Here's the problem. Problem is that the American people believe what is said, and that is your real quintessential problem.
Yeah.
And that's how you win elections. Now, look at all the people who voted for Mondami who are pissed off.
Maybe they didn't realize he was crazy.
Not that he was crazy. They didn't realize that he was going to try to tax them out of living in New York.
Things that they think are crazy.
Correct. So, people didn't protest like this when we were kids, though. Maybe during the Vietnam War.
I understand why they were protesting.
But they weren't protesting things that were not real.
You know, that was really happening.
We were in Vietnam. People were dying, okay?
Our people.
Our people, young men, were dying for no apparent reason, by the way, okay? I mean, there was a reason. It just wasn't the reason we told everybody,
No.
okay? It's for the drug trade.
People were pissed off for
A reason.
genuine, valid reasons.
But these people, they're not pissed off for a genuine, valid reason. Now, I am sure there's some activist or some Palestinian, whatever that is, who will come in and say, well, I'm pissed off for a real reason. No, that's your opinion. That's your feeling. Okay? I don't like certain things about the government myself. I don't go on national television or go have a protest out on whatever street and say, hey, this is not true or this is true because this is how I feel about the government. That's not how it works.
Like, just because you say things loudly doesn't make them true.
But I think it seems to.
Yeah, but like, it does.
And I think we see it in lots of walks of life.
Yes. But how do you make sense? Like, how do you get back? I don't know. Is this just who we are?
I think this is who we are now because you can't change the millennials. You can't change the generation after them. What's the generation? Is that your generation?
Gen Z.
Gen Z? You can't change it.
Yeah.
How am I going to change it?
It's over.
It is.
We're too far gone, I guess, guys.
It's the truth, though.
Like, I worry about my children. Where they go? It's like you can't send them to school. Where are they going to go? These people are crazy.
You have to be very careful where they go to school and where you live. Now, see, you're supposed to have a universal education system.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that. We learn different things. We come from different places. We come from different socio and economic backgrounds, right? And we come from different ethnic backgrounds.
Yeah.
And then we come from different religious points of view. But there's never been this high of a rhetoric that there is now.
Like, let's all calm down.
Again,
It's not that deep.
I think debating is great.
Not like
I think talking about people's viewpoints are great, but you can't change the facts. And the facts are the facts. Whether you like them or not, you could try to portray them however you like them. If you're caught standing in a pool of blood, you're holding a gun, it's smoking, and there's a person 3 feet away from you dead, chances are something happened that caused you to utilize the firearm and that person to die, and they're bleeding out all over the place.
No, for sure.
For
Not
sure.
Really like,
No, for sure.
No.
No. For
Never
for
been
sure.
so sure.
So I'm saying that it is the rhetoric of taking points of view and turning them into facts.
For sure. I also think that, like, if you're this obsessed with a place that you knew nothing about 2.5 years ago, then a psychiatrist is probably a better idea than standing on the street.
Well, it's popular now.
No, right, but, like, we have a problem.
We have a societal problem, and
We're sick.
yes, somebody has to really do something about it, or it's only going to get worse. And then there's that terminology that you always ask about that, like, the good mayor of New York likes to throw around. Well, this is against international law.
Does he know what he's talking about? Because I don't know what he's talking about.
Well,
I have no idea what this man is ever saying.
okay, so let's unpack that for a minute. So,
Why don't we?
international law, in its broad terms, okay, covers rules, agreements, customs, or legal principles that a country, between countries, right, and international organizations, and in some cases, individuals. People often throw around, though, as political anecdote is, and they do this during debates, during trade disputes, during sanction conversations, during military conflicts like we have going on now. Listen, there are several main categories of international law. There's public international law, which governs relationships between states and international bodies or countries. There are treaties between countries. There are laws on war and armed conflict. There are human rights conventions. There's maritime law, what you're allowed to do in the ocean and not, which Iran's not allowed to do what it's doing.
Story for another time.
Right. And then there are organizations, the Geneva Convention, the World Trade Organization, the International Criminal Court, the International Court of Justice, the United Nations.
I think what Zoran is probably, if I know him well enough now.
You met?
No.
You know him personally?
No, you don't have to. He's
Okay.
a caricature of a person in the nicest way possible, Zoran. I think what he's usually talking about is like the ICC, and he thinks we're all bound by the ICC.
He's not. Even him saying that if Netanyahu came to New York,
It's so funny.
he was going to arrest him because he's in violation of international law. I don't even think legally that's possible. He might try to do that. I'm not quite sure. First of all, if that occurred, you'd have an international incident. Second of all, his security team would not allow him to be incarcerated. Third of all, you have no right. Any diplomat that comes to the United States has immediate diplomatic immunity. And you can't all of a sudden try to enforce international law here. And part of the reason that people say things, and they say it for effect, right?
Like, nobody knows what they're talking about.
You're getting lots and lots of information. And in today's, that's untrue. And in today's world, information is so prevalent that you don't know what's true or what's not true, and that's a significant issue. So yes, I think we're broken. I think society, I'm 55, you're not. I worry about the future. I worry about my children, obviously, but I worry about my unborn grandchildren and their children.
I worry about your unborn grandchildren a lot. It's a wild world.
And I worry about, where are we going here?
Nowhere good.
But where are we going here? There are people on a city street protesting. I have no problem with the protest.
No, but they're acting nuts.
Acting nuts and saying things that are blatantly untrue. But let me explain.
And that call for, like, when does speech turn, like, do we take into account the history of violence behind people's speech?
Well, we don't seem to. And that's the same thing as a political candidacy, right? Same thing as an election. How many times have you been watching a electoral debate and there's a question asked by a moderator, and whether or not the question is pointed because the moderator has a political idea or whatever, whole nother topic. But the moderator asks a question and you know that a candidate's answer is total and complete banter fodder.
Yeah.
Okay. Borrowing a Star Wars term.
Okay.
Total complete horseshit.
Yeah.
And they didn't even answer the question, and they gave an answer that you're sitting there watching it going, what the hell did this person just say?
Yeah, how'd we get here?
Okay. So again, but it's acceptable. No politician in a debate ever answers the question they were asked.
No.
They
like the
use it as a platform to talk about it, but it's not like anybody who says yes, no, 14, right? It's 14. The answer to your question is 14. Next question. So, Sky, I'm not going to ask, but I'm going to tell. I think America in this direction is broken.
For sure broken. I was scared today. A police officer told me to take off my identifying jewelry.
And that's scary.
Yeah. Something felt a little broken in that moment. Maybe it was me, but...
No, it's not. It's not. I oftentimes, as a Jew, think about that. Like, and I worry about my children. Like, are they wearing something that identifies them as being Jewish? Because we all sometimes wear something that's Jewish, and is that going to result in you being in harm's way? And that's a sad world.
It's an unacceptable reality.
But it's reality.
Yeah.
And unless we all want to do something about it, it's never going to change.
No.
But I do believe if you said that about any other group of people, there would be a whole uproar that you said it. Like, you showed me some of those things from the demonstration. They were calling the NYPD the KKK.
Yeah.
First of all, the sheer reference doesn't make any sense.
No, but I didn't know we were allowed to use that in, like, casual...
No, we're not supposed to, but I don't... Again, where do you come off in a factual matter, right?
Yeah, they're not the KKK as much as you, like, don't like them. Like, that's just not... They're not the same.
Well, how many people in the New York City Police Department are a minority?
A good amount.
Right. And that's all different kinds of minorities, right?
Yes.
And from all different walks of life in all different countries and all different ethnicities. So
I saw police officers today of all different races, ethnicities,
colors, creeds, right? So you're going to tell those people who put their life on the line every day that they're the KKK? By the way, do you think that especially to police officers who are, of certain descents, who have a history where their ancestors were hurt or harmed by the KKK, don't you think that that's a bad thing?
Yeah, like the things you say matter and hurt people.
And I'm sorry to say something that matters and hurts everybody, but that we've come to the end of our pod.
I'm hurt.
That the pod is over?
Yes.